Good morning and welcome to Cape Cod Travel Day. Well, we're actually kind of already in Cape Cod, or right at the mouth of Cape Cod, but today we're headed just about an hour into the middle of Cape Cod. Just kidding, I wouldn't close that door on you guys. It's pack up day, and since we only have an hour plus drive, we're packing up on the morning of instead of the day before. Yesterday we had the bikes in Martha's vineyard, so I gotta get them loaded back up into their spot and get them charged. We are still loving these Lectric XP lights because they are small, foldable, and they fit inside our pass-through. And actually just yesterday, the XP lights 2 came out. So interested to see what those look like. The one problem with our smaller tray here in our smaller fifth wheel is that I can't lay the bikes down flat because they're too wide for our pass-through door. So I have to have them standing up, which I don't like to travel with them standing up, so then I kind of like lay them to the side so they don't fall. And then I can put the charger on, since we have an outlet in here, like that. And then the charging plug is right down there. So we can just pop it in. And then we have room for the second bike right here. So when they're standing up, they still slide in and out. But like I said, when traveling, I like to lean it down towards the ladder here, just so it doesn't fall into the electrical system this way. That wouldn't be good. Then I can kind of slide this back in and put the other charger on. Oh, one thing I read about the new XP Lite 2s is that they have an option for an extended battery, and that's probably our biggest gripe because we like to use these for big excursion days, and we haven't had too much of a problem. But yesterday in Martha's Vineyard, you know, the island is 20 miles and the towns are kind of, you know, 5-6 miles away from each other. So as you're going from town to town and you're trying to go full throttle, it didn't take long for us to go 20 miles and use up a good portion of the battery because we were going full throttle. Okay, but the pollen here is crazy. It's everywhere. And I mean everywhere. So if it wasn't 7:30 in the morning, I'd be using my blower right here. So I'm gonna have to wait a little bit to use that. But it's a mess out here, and it's really affecting our allergies and our breathing. Thankfully, we're not really in any type of big running regime. We're not training for any trail races or anything, so that would be tough to run out here in this pollen. It's literally like dusting yellow snow everywhere. We did wash the truck yesterday, which I was kind of worried about because of all the pollen, but it's still looking pretty good. Super shiny from back here, but if you get closer to it, you can kind of see the pollen, and it's very light pollen. It's not like the New Jersey pollen. And then look at this over here. Look at how dusted this is. We've been here for 2 weeks. Look at our power cord. It's no longer black, it's yellow. It's everywhere. Just imagine what this does to your lungs as you breathe this in. And if you remember back to the New York video, we accidentally bent our automatic release pin on our hitch head, and we just got that part shipped to us. I was thinking about doing it this morning, but that's not a good idea. So with fifth wheel hitches, you got to be careful how high or low your RV is when you engage and disengage these. And one time I was just a little too high, and I still haven't got my snap pad feet in either. We got our tire under warranty shipped to Virginia Landing back when we had our alignment problem, and I haven't got this installed yet either. So all these little things are starting to add up. and we're about 1 month from heading to Canada. So I'm trying to get all this stuff done because our Canada tour is about 2,000 plus miles. So it's quite a lengthy drive. And I kind of want to have our RV running in tip-top shape. We've had our tire TPMS system for about 2 years now. And just recently, the batteries in the transmitters down here are starting to fail. But the scary thing is, as you're going down the road and one of these batteries dies, your alarm starts to go off, and then you don't know what's going on. It does say no signal, and it doesn't show you the pressure going down, but it's still something scary to run across as you're traveling, just like it did to us on our way to New York City. But they are really easy to replace. So, but this just literally unthreads, and there's the battery. CR1632. Thread it back on, and just screw the sensor back on. It's that simple. Oh, the pollen. It's little things like that, though, that as an RVer, you have to stay up on top of. And the maintenance really builds, especially as you're traveling a lot of miles. RVs need a lot of love, and it can be kind of tricky to get that maintenance done. So trying to get all of it pretty much done before we head up to Canada. One other thing I need to do is replace our water filters. We're kind of down to doing these every 2 months since we use this full time. I think, you know, people say you can go 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months. It's really hard to say depending on your usage. And I really do like this triple water filter here from Clear Source, but the replacement filters are $70 for a pack of 3. And that just gets pretty expensive when they're $23 a piece. So I've been experimenting with some bulk filters, and what I did find on Amazon was the 0.5 filters, and these you can get for about $14 a piece, so that's quite a bit cheaper. But then as you do a 1 micron and a 5 micron filter, these you can get much cheaper, like around $4 to $5 a piece. And it's hard to say with anything in the water, you know, source quality, like how good is each filter. You know, at least you got to go by somewhat of their labeling that it's independently tested, certified. But I do know at least the smallest, the 0.5 one, is the same filter that comes in the Clear Source 3-pack. So I feel good about that. And, you know, just being full-time on the road, we need to change these filters out. I'm saying every other month is good for us. There it goes. This one's not too bad, but you can see how orange it is. This is the first filter, which is 5 microns. Usually just picks up all the heavy sediment, dirt, iron, stuff like that. I've seen it much worse, but I'm starting to change them a little bit sooner now, just because, you know, water's important. I think a lot of household systems only go down to 1 micron, so I feel pretty good with this triple step, 5, 1, and 0.5. And then we filter our water inside with the Berkey for drinking. So lots of filtering going on. Look at that. Oh, wow. I wish there was a step right down here. Maybe. It would definitely help. Again, we got to be really careful as we hook up because I didn't replace this safety pin that we bent the other day in New York City. And I get a lot of comments on the WD-40 on the hitch instead of using like a silicone or like a white lithium or something that is better at lubricating. The reason Polrite recommends WD-40 is because it's extremely light and it just needs a little tiny bit of lubricant, and you don't want to collect any of the dirt or dust. So it basically just cleans and lubricates at the same time. And you just got to do the ramps, and that's about it. And this little crack down here. I don't know if this is going to be a smart idea or a bad idea, but I'm going to try to pressure wash just some of that pollen off when we get hooked up. We got about half hour before we got to check out. And I just want to get some of this stuff off. It's everywhere, and I want to spray it down. We haven't had this happen yet since traveling in a fifth wheel. This has been over a year now, and there's a bird nest up in there. I just had a robin or some type of bird just fly out. I don't know, is there more in there? I don't see any eggs in there, but yeah, we've never had that happen yet. That's a first for us. We had a bird nest. Time to go. Yeah, we're just gonna have you pull back about 12 inches. Slow, slow, a little bit more. Stop right there. See how we're nice and low on this ramp? You know, it's hitting halfway up. We were just, maybe a half inch or so just too high, maybe even less. And that's where that pin got caught on the bottom of the kingpin. So it's really important in these fifth wheel hitch ups to slide and glide up the ramp and even have that little bit of friction, I guess you could say. And we've literally never had an issue in over a year, and then just that one time we were just a little too high. Slow, slow. A little bit. Okay. A little aggressive at the end, but...
I know, we were kind of stuck where...
Yeah, there's lots of tree roots and stuff here.
I had to put a little gas on it.
Let's do the safety tug, and then I'm going to have about 15 minutes just to spray down the mess. Probably a bad idea to get this thing wet and then go down a dirt road covered in pollen, but I had to do it. It was just so thick on there. Whew, that was the messiest kind of, I don't know, dirty. It's not the dirtiest campsite we've ever been to, but you're in the woods, you're in the dirt, you're in the dust, you're in the trees, there's tree sap. And then the pollen. The pollen is something we've never dealt with
I've never
before.
seen pollen like this in my entire life. It's absolutely disgusting. Everything is covered with green powder. It is sickening. It's exhausting. It's like...
That Airstream has been here for literally like 4 days. Yeah, it's bad. It's just bad everywhere. You can just see it on everybody's car, vehicle.
It's just a haze in the air.
Yeah. Off to the shortest travel day, I think, honestly, ever. 45 miles, 53 minutes.
I think the shortest was in the Keys, and this is the second place. Look at that car.
That's true.
I hope that it's better there. Like, with it being so close together, you naturally want to think, well, it's going to be exactly the same there as it is here, but it can't be any worse. It can't be any worse.
Look at this hat. Ugh. So it was actually a pretty decent campground our first time there. It was called the Gateway to Cape Cod. It is 1,000 trails, but it had a lot of things going for it, and we were surprised that it had a dog park.
Yeah, it was really nice. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed everything about it up until the pollen fun.
Funny enough, this is the exact same way we just took yesterday to go to Martha's Vineyard. And if you didn't know that Martha's Vineyard is on your RV bucket list, it could be. It was pretty fun. It's like a small town wrapped up in the island vibe, and it's unique. A little bit of logistical mess to get there, but still worth a visit.
That's part of the fun though, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's part of the fun to just, oh, we're gonna go hang out on an island today.
Yeah, it's one of those things that if you don't do it when you're right next to it, you're probably not going to plan your entire RV summer vacation around Martha's Vineyard. Although, some people might, especially if you live close in the area. No traffic today. Yesterday at Martha's Vineyard, we got stuck in this for about 20 minutes. Almost missed the ferry, but luckily, smooth entrance, and we made it.
Yeah, we did. I'm like a pro at this bridge. It's a little bit of a narrow bridge, and I don't like being on that wall on that side, so I'm going to be in the left lane for safety.
Yeah, the sidewalk step up looks like it's over a foot tall, like 16 inches. It's a huge step up, and that's kind of scary when you're in a dually.
Well, it just catches a lot of debris over there too. There's 2x4s and planks.
Yes, yeah, there's nowhere for all the debris to go, so you got about a foot on the roadway of broken glass and mirrors and serpentine belts, tire tread. But check out the Cape Cod hedges. That is so cool.
It's really beautiful.
That is so cool. You're still dreaming of that whole Maine lobster you ate yesterday.
I actually was just dreaming about that lobster. It was so good. Like, that was my first whole lobster in a really, really long time. And yeah, it's still on my brain. I'd like to get another one. I'd like another one. It was good.
13.7, stay in the middle. They always got to throw one bridge at you that's around 13 and a half feet tall.
I know, and that one was like one of the old arch ones that you were explaining. When you think about those old bridges, you think about the old archway style, right?
Yeah, which 13.7 is usually at the roadway, and the middle is much higher. But you know, we don't know. Like, it's not labeled.
Every time you see the sign, it makes your heart start to palpitate a little bit. Is your heart racing?
Yep. Now this is starting to look familiar, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
Remember this?
This looks familiar.
We were here 5 years ago.
You can't remember in your memory, and then as soon as you pull in, you're like, oh yeah, now it's all coming back to me.
It's all coming back. A120, last site on the left.
Is it a pull-through?
No. No, it's back end, like the ones that are on your left there.
Okay.
Pollen looks better though, right?
It does.
Oh, the pollen looks way better.
Thankfully. Yeah, you can just see like the vehicles are clean.
Right there.
That's it?
A120.
Okay. I'm gonna let this FedEx guy pass me.
Yeah, let me pop out. Okay. This particular campsite ended up being pretty difficult for us to get into. It didn't look it at first, but we were on a really busy corner where 3 roads wide together and there just wasn't a lot of room to maneuver. The campground had us come in and park in this particular direction, and in hindsight, we probably should have just turned around and came back the opposite way. But we thought we would tackle it as is. The main thing that makes a lot of these semi-permanent style campgrounds difficult is the lack of space across the road to pull forward and straighten out. And that's because it's usually somebody's yard instead of just another transient campsite. So a lot of times there's cars parked there, or landscaping, lights, trees, shrubs, things like that. They're also typically not laid out like a newer campground. These are usually older mobile home lots, and a lot of them are very squared off. So a lot of the parking is 90 degrees and not nice and angled like a lot of campsites are built now. So we made it into the site okay, but when we tried to position as close to the sewer cap as possible, there just wasn't enough room to shimmy over. We ended up trying multiple times just to get over a few inches, and it probably didn't need to be this bad, but it felt like it took over an hour to park. We probably should have just reset and restarted the parking process. Junie June. Okay, even a year plus driving this fifth wheel, Chris and I both are still learning our roles and our differences, our do's, our don'ts. It's like it's also kind of fun to like practice some new scenarios. So that was a
That's Aaron's way of saying that we embrace challenging situations. Like,
we do.
When there's we don't really like when there's a parking spot that's difficult or intense, we don't shy away from it. We say, we're gonna get after it and we're gonna learn how to be better from this experience.
So this particular RV site, we were on a one-way road, and this was the only way in here, or at least this is the way the map told us to go to our spot. Now I'll tell you the reason why I didn't think it was a big deal is because these sites are straight, they're not angled. So really you should be able to back into them the same from each way, but the difference is the passenger side of our site was open, there was nobody here, so we could easily feather and cut that corner, whereas the driver's side there was a shrub, a tree, a fence. Anyways, the point is that, you know, we swooped in there fairly easy. I'm always cautious on the truck though, even though we have that sliding hitch that is going to protect the cab from hitting the truck. You know, I'm still just making sure we're not putting any undue stress onto the axles, or, you know, you don't want a 90 degree into a spot with a 17,000 pound fifth wheel. It's just not ideal. Yeah. Imagine if we just went through, you know, parking for an hour and we hit our new truck.
That would just...
And crack the window and dented the cab.
That would just crush the soul, wouldn't it? Just hitting it right here.
It would. So, I don't know, rough day. Chris is definitely sick.
I'm sick. I woke up at 3 a.m. with a sore throat and couldn't sleep all night. So, you know, traveling when you're sick is tough. I'm not going to sit and whine, but even the short days feel long. And that's all I want to say about that.
So we really just need to replace this guy right here. Bent one. There's the good one. On there. Spring
Ever wonder where the name Irene Iron Travels comes from? It's actually named after my online fitness and nutrition coaching business, Irene Iron Fitness. I help people move better, feel better, and eat better with strength training and real food. No fad diets, no harsh restrictions, no counting calories, and absolutely no processed food in a package. If you want to get stronger and feel better at any age, check the description below for the links with my new client special, or join in on our next and upcoming group challenge.